and like see what's happening on a real set. Turns out when I went to the audition, they handed me a piece of paper, which was the script. And I didn't know what to do at that point because I couldn't just bail. I couldn't just like run out of there and be like, I don't want to do this. So it was kind of just like an in the moment thing. I was just like, you know what? Nothing might come out of this, or everything might come out of this. So I kind of just like went for it. And for the first time, I put myself out there, and it obviously ended up great. And yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Um, my second question is, what is your take on the character Jackie? And was it difficult for you at all to play this character?
So after the casting calls and stuff like that, COVID happened. And so it was kind of a year of just me thinking that nothing came out of it, and that there wasn't any project, and that it was just kind of like buffed by COVID. And so Jackie didn't really exist in my mind, and technically in the writers' minds, until probably a few months before filming the first season. And they reached out to me and they wanted me to do this part. And it described her as this like resi ass, like really bad girl, like just like a bully basically, which is like honestly the complete opposite of what I am. Like I feel like I'm very introverted, I'm very shy, and I'm not mean to anybody unless, somebody crosses me, and that's the only time. And I think that's kind of where I channeled Jackie, is like she's almost like one of my little like feelings in my head. Like the movie Inside? She's like my angry like feeling inside of my head. And so that's kind of like where I saw it. And I thought of things, like if my sister made me mad, I would just like kind of be like, okay, what did I feel in that moment? Just like regular everyday things, because it was so hard for me to like kind of adjust to that as a new actor as well, who has never played as anybody else before, just to kind of like create a new personality for the screen. That was probably the most challenging part. But I think it definitely made me more closer to Jackie. Even through this second season, you see more of her and you learn more about her. And I feel like I'm going through that motion with her as well.
That's awesome. Um, so we know that there's a lot of other upcoming Native actors and actresses. How is it working with them?
Oh my God. It's so surreal. It's really kind of weird to think about how many Native actors and actresses are coming to light right now. Like it's something that little me would have never thought about. And I think it's something that a lot of Native kids never would have thought would happen. I think we kind of just like all, attached ourselves to a character that didn't look like us and didn't speak like us and didn't, act like us, just because that's all there was. And there wasn't anything else for us to, kin. So I think it's really special, and I think it's very heart wrenching that like all these little Native kids are like looking up to us and like seeing us, and they're like, oh, I want to be like Willie Jack, I want to be like Alora and Jackie. Like it's we're making history, all of us. Even with Amber Mid Thunder and Prey, that is such a mind-boggling thing to me, that like it's just so possible and so real that Native people can legitimately act in these 21st century films. And it's great, it's amazing, and I think it was time for it. Like it's just been so long since we've been like the butt of the joke and like just stereotyped and just like treated less than in the film industry. And I think it's definitely time for Natives to put their foot into Hollywood, because I mean we all belong, like truly.
So
Yeah.
from what you know just described was that there's a lot of, new Native actors and actresses coming up, which is, like you said, about time that, us young natives start breaking into the scene and, like you said, challenging the stereotypes. You said earlier that you kind of grew up in a smaller town. So what was it like, um, coming to this big set, and what was your favorite thing about, being a part of the Res Dogs team?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely do believe that like native actors and also writers, I wanted to be a writer myself first, just like belong. And it definitely all became real to me when I was on the set of Res Dogs. And it was almost like a culture shock when this was happening. Cause like again, it's like one of the first, like including like Rutherford Falls. These two shows were like one of the first intros to how funny and how good of actors Native people can be, and writers, just like in general. So being on that show and seeing everybody around me just being Native, even like the crew, set deck, like all these people were Native. And it was just like kind of solidifying the fact that I didn't have to be so afraid of, like just being on the screen. Because I will admit, the first season, when I first went on there, I was like, I don't really think that I belong here. I'm scared. Like, but there was just a lot of people around me who were encouraging me by just being there. You know, like you see all these people who are like your aunties and uncles, and they're just supporting you by just being there and like making this all happen for all of us.
You, so you said that your character Jackie is very different from you. And you being a two-spirit individual, how did you incorporate that identity into the character Jackie?
Yeah, I think that was one of my hardest parts about, coming to terms with being non-binary and being, a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and just also trying to be an actor all at once. Because it's almost like all of these things are like could be a fault to my career. You
Mhm.
know, it's like just like one after the another. It's like I'm setting myself up for failure almost. But I really did try to like put a little bit of myself into Jackie, including her clothing. It's very almost androgynous in her haircut, obviously. It was my haircut when I was 16 when I first auditioned. And I think Sterling Harjo wanting that hairstyle on me was like the most like it was just putting myself onto the screen almost. It was like that little bit of like just like showing the world like who I am almost, but not really saying it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, saying that Jackie is two spirit or non binary is not who she is, but me as a two spirit person playing her and, talking through her and just being on the screen for other two spirit people to see that, like, you can act and you can be here just like I am.
Mhm.
It's like, it's just showing them that it's possible, you know?
Yes. I mean, dealing and figuring out what your sexuality and gender identity is hard enough as someone who's not part of the show business.
Right.
So, as someone who's in the show business, what is something that you want to tell to any Two Spirit Indigenous kids watching this Bidaské who are interested in acting? Like, what is some advice or, just some piece of wisdom that you would share with them?
No, I think that is genuinely a really good point because, there's also just not a lot of queer people who want to act because it's still a stigma, especially in film. And I think that me being proud of being two spirited and being proud of being in the LGBTQ plus community is also how I was saying for the Native people on set. For me, if I'm there for other queer people in film, other young queer people who want to be in film, then I think it encourages them way more to, you know, write their stories and put themselves out there, because they don't think that there's a lot of encouragement when there 100% can be. And it's something that I think about a lot, and it definitely is an honor to just like show them that it's okay, and you don't have to be scared, and you don't have to limit yourself just because you're a part of a minority.
Hmm. I think you've shared some really good advice for, you know, any queer Indigenous kids like watching this. Um, I do want to say, like, you're doing, you know, a really great job of creating space for representation, not only for queer kids, but also for Indigenous kids. I remember, like, when the first time I saw that Reservation Dogs was coming out, I was like, oh my gosh, a show that includes actors that look like me. And then it's
Yeah.
not only that, but it's a show that has storylines that isn't focused around like stereotypes of other people. It's like a genuinely, you know, funny show that I would say fairly accurately represents who we are as people. Um, so my last question for you is, what can we expect from season 2 of Reservation Dogs?
What you can expect from season 2 is way more than season 1. That's just what I'm gonna say. It's like, it's season 1 times 10. Like 10 times more sadness, 10 times more action, 10 times more happiness. It is just like 10 times more of everything, 10 times more of the res dogs, you know? There's so much more of Jackie as well in the next season, which really shows you how she thinks and how she is around the other res dogs. And I genuinely think that I genuinely think that and know that everybody is going to absolutely love the second season. And yeah, I just can't wait until everybody sees the whole thing.
Well, I'm glad we get to see more of Jackie in this upcoming season.
I think that's all the questions we have for you, Elva. I just want to say it's not just kids that you're inspiring. You inspire me. I'm almost 24, and it's just amazing. I mean, I love the show. I love all of the characters, and I wish the best for all of you guys.
Thank you. Your words mean so much. I'm genuinely so happy to be in this interview with y'all. Because it's like how I said before, I wanted to be a native writer before an actor, and I just love seeing other native minds like doing this. And I love working with other native people. It's just like it's a sense of community, and I really love this. It's so warm and like inviting.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time. We really enjoyed it, and me and Neely were both very excited to interview you. So this is kind of like a little dream come true for me because I met you and I got to talk to you. So
Oh,
yeah.
but thank you guys so much. I was genuinely so happy to be here.
Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us and talk about Jackie and Reservation Dogs and your story.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you to everyone who's tuned in to the stream on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
If you appreciate what we do here at Native News Online, we invite you to donate to support our continued work covering Indian country. You can scan this code with your smartphone or go to the link located below this video to donate today. We appreciate your support.
Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe to our newsletter.
Thank you today for joining us, and please be sure to join us again next week for another